It's kind of wild when a company you've known forever just seems to lose its footing. We've all seen it happen. But every once in a while, one of these giants does something totally radical to reinvent itself. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, Toshiba's incredible turnaround, which, let me tell you, kicked off with a move that was, well, pretty drastic.
So think about this for a second. What actually happens when a huge global company just vanishes from the stock market? I mean, it sounds like the end of the story, right? But for Toshiba, this was the beginning of a whole new chapter. For nearly 3/4 of a century, it was a public company, its value bouncing around every single day. And then, all of that just stopped.
You're going to want to remember this date, December 20th, 2023. This was the day that Toshiba, after 74 years, was officially delisted, gone from the Tokyo and Nagoya stock exchanges. It basically disappeared from public view, and you can bet a lot of people were wondering what on earth was going to happen next.
But listen to how Toshiba talked about it. They didn't call it an ending. They called it a major step toward a new future. So right from the get-go, they were signaling that this wasn't a collapse. Nope, this was a plan, a strategic move to get away from all the pressure of being a public company.
And this is where that new future begins. By going private, the hope was that Toshiba could finally stabilize everything and make the tough, long-term decisions they needed to, without having to worry about what Wall Street or investors would think every 3 months. The massive question was, of course, would it actually work?
Well, we didn't have to wait very long to get the first clues. The first set of results after going private, that was going to be the big test. It was the moment everyone was watching to see if this colossal gamble was about to pay off.
And here we go, the first major test, the results from the first 6 months of fiscal year 2024. This was it, the first real report card under the new private system. It was the first hard data we had, the first proof of concept, you could say.
So, what happened? Honestly, the result was a total stunner. We're talking operating profit surging 3.2 times, 3.2 times, compared to the year before. This wasn't just a little bump. No way. This was a massive, immediate signal that something deep inside the company had fundamentally changed.
Just look at that jump. It's staggering. They went from 22.3 billion yen to 70.5 billion yen. This was actually their best first-half performance in years, ever since they had restructured their business. The message was loud and clear. The new strategy wasn't just working, it was working fast.
Okay, so a strong first half is one thing. But you gotta ask, could they keep that up for a whole year? Well, as it turns out, those first 6 months were just the warm-up.
And that brings us to the full fiscal year 2024 results. This was the moment of truth, the final grade for that first critical year away from the public markets.
The growth was even more mind-blowing. Full-year operating profit multiplied by nearly 5 times. Let that sink in. Not a 5% increase, a 5x increase. That's not just growth. That is a complete and total transformation of the company's profitability in just 1 year.
The numbers are just crazy. The company went from just under 40 billion yen to almost 200 billion in operating profit. And get this, sales, operating profit, and net profit, they all hit record highs for their current business portfolio. It was, without a doubt, a record-breaking year.
So after a year like that, a historic year, the next question is pretty obvious, right? Could they possibly keep this pace up? Was this just a one-time bounce back, or was it the beginning of something real and sustainable?
To figure that out, we've got to look at the latest chapter, the first quarter results for fiscal year 2025. This is the freshest data we have, and it gives us the best snapshot of where Toshiba is headed right now.
And unbelievably, they did it again. Even after those massive gains last year, operating profit in this first quarter nearly tripled compared to the same quarter a year ago. The momentum isn't just there, it feels like it's still picking up speed. Look at that. Profits shot up from 14.3 billion yen to over 40 billion. In fact, both their operating profit and their net profit were the highest they've ever been for a first quarter. So yeah, this turnaround is clearly not a fluke, it is the new reality.
Okay, the numbers are fantastic. We get it. But why? What's the secret sauce here? What's actually behind this incredible comeback? Because you know it wasn't just luck. This was all by design.
Well, we can hear it straight from the horse's mouth. In the company's own report, Vice President Koji Aikiya pointed directly to internal reforms. He said that their disciplined work on pricing and a sharp focus on cutting fixed costs were, quote, steadily producing results.
And when you look at all the reports, the same story pops up again and again. This wasn't just one thing, it was a whole bunch of stuff working together. I mean, you've got these deep internal shakeups, like new management and serious cost cutting. Then you've got them just being smarter with their business, things like better pricing in big areas like energy and infrastructure. And maybe the real game changer, they totally revamped how they manage risk across the whole company. Just doing that meant they didn't have to keep so much cash on hand for potential problems, which, boom, went straight to the bottom line. So yeah, this wasn't about finding one magic bullet, it was a complete top-to-bottom overhaul.
So after this amazing phase of just getting the house in order and growing like crazy, what's next? Well, Toshiba has been really clear about their plan for the future. They've laid out a roadmap.
Their whole revitalization plan is basically in two parts. Fiscal year 2024, the year we just talked about, was all about becoming leaner. Fixing the foundation, driving profits, getting efficient. Now, in fiscal year 2025, they're shifting gears. The new focus is on seeding for growth, using that strong, stable foundation to start investing in the future. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question. In a world where so many of these old legacy companies are struggling to keep up, Toshiba took this massive risk, stepping out of the spotlight to fix itself from the inside out. And so far, the results have been nothing short of spectacular. So you have to wonder, could their journey become a new blueprint for other giants trying to find their way again? It's definitely something to think about.